don't know. Okay. Hi everybody, welcome back to Love What You Eat, our cooking show. Today we are making a delicious traditional Italian delicacy treat, I would say, because this is made with chestnuts and this englobes to me Christmas. Today what are we making, Mom?
Crostata con castagne cioccolato.
We will show you just how to make this beautiful dessert coming up next
On
Love What You Eat.
In a pot, I have chestnuts generously covered with water. Bring it to a boil, and they need to boil for 2 hours. After the 2-hour mark, I will remove a few and check if they're done. Note that the chestnuts have to be always covered with water as they boil. So if you see that much of the water has evaporated, you can add hot water from the tap and ensure that your chestnuts are always covered in water as they boil. When you have finished peeling your chestnuts, place them in a fruit processor and pulsate them till you get like a smooth, almond floury texture. Now they are ready to be stored in an airtight container, and you can refrigerate this for up to 1 week.
Alright, so we are going to get into making first the crust for this delicious dessert. You will be needing flour, raw sugar, you will be needing room temperature butter, some eggs, and then Christmas citrus is the classic lemon and orange. And then what else do we need here, Mom?
We have pane dell'angeli. If you don't have it, you could substitute it with baking powder.
Alright, so we will get this dough prepared. This is the dough, honestly, that doesn't have to chill, but we will be putting it quickly in the fridge the meantime that we will be preparing the filling. So that's basically the only chilling time that it really needs in the fridge.
That's right.
So closer look to get this done. We will be doing this by hand. You can also use a stand mixer as you wish. All right, so the dough is finished. Give it the proper time to work at it. It took a good 4 to 5 minutes to combine. If you feel it's a bit on the wet side, always have a bit of flour reserved on the side and dust some in, but really properly give it the good 4 to 5 minutes of working it in, and you'll see that it will combine and hold together like a pastry dough should. It's gonna go in the fridge. Honestly, just the time to make the filling. If you had everything proper room temperature, it won't harden up. It's really just to keep it the time that we prepare the filling, and then out again it comes. Then we were going to basically put everything together and into the oven it'll bake. Let's get the filling prepared. So the filling is very simple to make. Over stovetop, you saw us add the milk, the raw sugar, we just stirred lightly to combine, and then we added the already pre-boiled and pre-deshelled castagne that were then placed in a food processor to get finely ground.
That's right.
So we then added the castagne. We mixed all that together and brought it up to a boil because we needed hot enough to then melt the chocolate that we put in. So once it comes up to a boil, you're removing it from stovetop, then you can come back on countertop, add the chocolate, mix that in. Once fully melted, then we end up adding
Ricotta, a little bit of ricotta, makes it nice and creamy.
Yeah, so then we mix that fully in, and then you either put it in the fridge to fully chill, or if you're doing this in Christmas time and you live in a cold climate like we do, I put it outside on my balcony because it's colder than the fridge. And then in the meantime, while that's cooling off, we ended up rolling out the dough. It is a beautiful dough, so don't feel that you failed if it ends up crumbling. Not all pastry doughs will roll very nice and smooth. Rustic type, you have the butter, the fat is in there, it holds, so when you close and you firm up the ball of dough, if it holds together, it's a perfect dough. So you saw that we also had a bit of cracking and patching up to do. Totally fine. It gets filled up, it gets layered, powdered sugar on top, it tastes great. So if your dough does crack in whatever recipe, as mentioned, as long as you can ball it together for a pastry dough and it holds together, it's a safe dough. It'll cook off totally fine.
Don't get discouraged,
Yeah.
just patch it up, that's all.
And there's different ways of doing this. Now we ended up choosing to layer it all around the sides, and we reserved some. You saw my mom just cut off about a third. We're gonna reserve some and do a thin topping. So we wanna have this fully covered like a pie.
Yeah.
But you can also choose to do strips, whatnot. So if you do wanna cover the top, just be sure to reserve some of that pastry dough before you go ahead and fill the rest up.
Well, you have to reserve the pastry dough for if you want to do strips
Or anything,
or
exactly.
that's it.
Yeah, regardless. So now I'm gonna go check up on the filling. We'll bring that in. What we end up doing is filling the pie. We're gonna layer it over, and then it goes into a 350-degree oven for about 40 to 45 minutes. Now just keep in mind that the filling, there's nothing raw inside it. So we're really just making sure and ensuring that the crust is properly baked. And we're gonna take it out of the oven and let it fully cool.
That's to fully cool completely
Exactly.
before we sprinkle it with
releasing it from the
Yes.
pan that we've properly greased and floured. That my mom was gonna say.
Exactly. You have
Generously.
to really, generously grease and flour your
Yes.
baking pan for an easy release.
Yes, and the easy release does not work as great if you don't let it cool at least 10 minutes in the pan, because you want that fat, that butter that has been heated up to cool down to semi-solidify again, so that when you do turn it over, it'll release. If you try to release it too soon, the crust is still warm and malleable, so you'll end up breaking your pie shell, and we don't want that. You don't want that. You want a beautiful release. So we're gonna add the filling, get this baked, and you'll be seeing us at the last step. See you soon.
Ciao.
So here it is. As you saw, we also had a little bit of the cracking on top, but again, totally fine because this will bake off. It's going to be dusted with the typical Italian icing sugar, which is just icing sugar, but I say Italian because any imperfections, they get dusted over. So it's going to be fine. It's going to taste delicious. But honestly, it's a very easy dough to work with. So we rolled it out, we trimmed it off, and then you see in regards to the thickness, you saw me just pushing and flattening the edge so that it's a nice finish. And just make sure that the pastry dough lays flat. So you saw that I was kind of passing my finger along the edge just to catch any air bubbles, doing that delicately, and just to make sure that the dough lays and touches the filling so that you don't create an air pocket and everything really just nice and married together like a sandwich when it does bake. But this is a beautiful crust, nice and buttery. It's gonna bake for 40 to 45 minutes until we see a nice golden crust. Are we egg washing this out?
No egg wash.
So you don't have to egg wash it. Again, it's gonna be covered with powdered sugar afterwards. And then we're gonna be cooling this on a wire rack for 10 minutes until we go ahead and release and decorate. So in the oven it goes. See you later.
A presto.
Bye. All right, so you saw the release. It wasn't a pretty release, but it released nonetheless. What we ended up doing is when it came out of the oven, we took a knife just to run it around a little bit so that when it did cool fully, it wouldn't have been stuck. Now, should we have done it in a springform pan? I think that would be a great suggestion for next time, or put a little bit of parchment under. It was a little bit of, it would have been a perfect release, but we just got the edges a little bit. So I mean, it happens, but it's a beautiful cake and it gets dusted with powdered sugar anyways, and it does not alter the taste. So next time what we'll probably end up doing is putting a piece of parchment at the bottom, because it was the edges that just had a little bit of a hard time. And that's it. And you just really want to make sure that it's fully cooled, because the butter and the fat end up solidifying a little bit more, so it makes for a really good crust. So it still cuts absolutely beautifully. The flavor on this, the smell when it was baking is great. Chocolate, you had the lemon and orange zest. Honestly, so looking forward to giving this a try. And the chestnuts, so delicious. So we will give it a try. We're gonna share because we're doing a lot of sweet baking, so we don't wanna have a whole piece each. We're gonna share this one. All right, gonna take a little piece.
Yeah, pille la punta.
Now I'm gonna show you guys just how like rich and creamy this is. This chocolate goodness, kind of like a thick pudding.
So good.
Absolutely delicious. Oh my goodness. It's so good. You don't taste full chestnuts. I don't know if you guys like it or not, but it gives such a nice warm hint of chestnut. You get the chocolate with the orange zest. I really strongly suggest you putting both because the lemon and the orange combined really give a Christmas taste. Those two zests end up giving that little bit of the panettone tang, a little bit of the flavor, and I really find that it elevates this, takes it up a level with the chocolate, and the chestnut gives that warm nuttiness to it. The crust is absolutely delicious, so good, again with the zest that really comes out beautifully. So just following a little bit of the tips, and just don't get discouraged. I mean, we're two home cooks, so yes, a little bit of cracks do happen, but what do? You just dust it with powdered sugar, and you still pass it around.
Hiccups along the way.
My
That's
goodness.
okay.
People are gonna love it anyways. We really hope you guys give this recipe a try. If you do, let us know in the comments down below. And as always, our website is up and running with the visual steps and pictures along the way for those who are a little bit more visual. You can check that out at www.lovewhatyoueat.net. Stay tuned, weekly uploads. We're coming to the end of this year, but this is a great one to try. You have enough time to try it for the holidays. We wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays wherever you're celebrating around the world. And until next time, continue to
love what you eat.
Love what you eat. Bye
Ciao.
for now.
Buona festa a tutti. Ciao. Statevi bene.
Good. It's delicious. It's so good.